Just to give you a concrete example of, you've heard a lot about the changes the legislature made in 2020 to a lot of the laws, and that in general they were not great for law enforcement, that they tended to put handcuffs on the police and have less accountability for the criminals. But as an example, to touch on something that Chief Herzig had talked about with the example she used of the individual involved in the domestic violence. The pursuit laws, as they were written in 2020, changed that pursuits were only allowed if you had probable cause to arrest someone for a specific category of violent offenses. Would anybody here argue that domestic violence is not a violent offense? I mean, violence is in the title, right? That was not one of the enumerated offenses that we were allowed to pursue for, because in the mind of the legislature, domestic violence was not a violent enough offense to allow us to chase someone who had perpetrated that crime. Now, add to that if we have probable cause to arrest an individual for domestic violence, it is a must-arrest situation for the officer. There can be criminal and civil liability if we don't make the arrest, but they took away our ability to make the arrest because domestic violence, in their estimation, was not violent. That's how crazy it was. That's just one example. There were other examples. An early iteration of the military equipment bill, we would have had to divest ourselves of any equipment that we got that was surplus military equipment, regardless if that equipment was weapons or not. One of the things that we get a lot of is we get first aid and medical equipment, including tourniquets. My guys in the last 6 months have successfully used those tourniquets that the legislature would have made us get rid of to save 2 people's lives, one at an accident and one at a stabbing. It's as bad as you've heard it is, it's worse. And we're losing people because of it. We lost a young man last year who got out of law enforcement altogether. He was exactly the type of young man you would want showing up at your house if you needed a police officer there. And he is lost to the profession probably forever, largely because of just some of the ridiculous stuff that came out of the legislature.
Can I just add to that real quick? Just to add to the ridiculousness, in addition to that, I would like to draw some attention to the other things that were listed on that military equipment. Things like tanks, rocket launchers, grenades. I don't know anyone up here that had that in their inventory. It's laughable, but that just shows you how out of touch that legislation was.
One thing on that bill also was we had to get rid of our attack helicopter.